Okay, evening, we're learning Likutey Moharan and Nina, Torah Daled. So we're holding by Siftes, I'm sorry. And we said when the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealed, in other words, when it becomes obvious that the world runs according to the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, that brings about Yira. Because commensurate with how much a person is not aware of the fact that Hashem runs the world, even if you know about it in principle, but you're not really aware, on the nitty-gritty, on the here and now. The awareness, the consideration of schar v'onesh, of payment, of payment and punishment become theoretical. It's like the more a person is aware that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, the more he is aware to the fact that that every single action that he has ramifications that leads to Yira. Whoa, better be on my best behavior. Hey, and that Yira is a keli. It's a tool for the shefa. So the person gets a shefa, Eloki, the heavenly bounty. He gets it, and the keli of the shefa makes it so that you can retain the shefa, you can contain the shefa, but without it causing you harm. Because when there's no yira, too much shefa drives a person crazy. It's only yira that keeps you on the straight and narrow. So that's a kli for bracha. So, however, when you have the existence of what the Rebbe called the vicious animals, which is Chachmei HaTeva. Yeah. This is the Chachmei HaTeva. On one hand, obviously, there's the philosophers, scientists, and everybody that goes along with them. Because what happens is that there are scientists, and there wasn't called, we used to call it scientism. Not, that cult, whatever it is. Scientism is people who are not scientists, who believe that science has all the answers. It's basically that's what people
relying on scientists to tell.
Yeah, that's most of the people around. There's basically there's a
Western.
Yeah. It's just they believe that science has all the answers. And so very funny. I'll tell you a funny story. The Pinchas of Koretz said that during the days of Sphira, for the Sh'ir, if there happens to be rainfall, so he says a big segula for health and for refuah to let the rain, fall on your head and fall directly in your mouth. So once I went with in a taxi, and a guy, nice, simple guy from the town, it's like a. So it was during year, and there was some rain going on. So I told him that. So he tells me, "That's primitive. That's primitive. What are you saying? That's primitive." That's Professor Cab Driver tells me this is primitive. So I told him, why do you say that? So I told him, how does rain, how is rain created? They are in the clouds. There are all these, there's like particles of water, and by electric charge, they like pieces of dough, whatever it is, by electric charge, they like collect it together and become raindrops. Now, the light of the sun, when it hits the air, creates a certain electrical charge. And it differs, that charge differs as the sun hits the earth, in the summer, it goes into the winter, the angle is different. Okay? What happens is, I told you, at the end of the winter, when it sort of like the sun becomes more and more intense because it goes towards the summer. What happens is I told him the electrical charge creates a rain that it's like last call for all the seeds that didn't come out from the earth yet. That's it. I mean, that's the last rain. Either you come up now or forget about it, as it were. Yeah. And so the rain has a special sort of like a very strong properties. So being that it's good for the seeds, whatever the seedlings though, to make them grow, it also has medicinal properties for people. So he tells me, well, that makes sense, right? So I told him, now you take a look at this. Okay. The first thing I told you, you go outside, take off your this, and you open up your mouth, whatever it is. That said Pinchas from Koretz, one of the greatest Talmidim Baal Shem Tov, one of the huge tzaddikim of the past 500 years. Yeah? That second explanation I just made up. This makes sense. This doesn't make sense. It's primitive. What are you talking about? And you know something? Almost whenever it is that I tell the story, there's some of the guys that says it, but maybe it's true. That explanation, it makes so much sense. Maybe it's true. How do you know it's not true? Because we cannot check up on every single thing and verify every single fact in our lives. We rely on information that we get from others. Okay. But how do you know what to believe, what not to believe? So there's this mechanism, which is when you say things using certain phrases, certain words, certain tone of voice, it lends like gravitas to that statement. I mean, if you were to tell somebody, listen, the moon is made of green cheese, and come on, man, what are you talking about? You nuts? But if you were to hear it on the 9 o'clock news, and the guy says, well, scientists have discovered traces of lactose in the sediment brought from the moon and the moon rocks. Wow, that's amazing. So the moon is made of cheese. But it all depends what kind of language you use. I mean, it's a
Also the flat earthers
yeah.
have like their scientific theory, the Earth is flat.
Okay, whatever it is that
You have flat Earth?
No.
climate warming, whatever. The point is that as a society, scientists and scientism and whatever it is has a certain kind of tone of voice that it uses.
What?
Tone of voice, certain phraseology that it uses, certain kind of thing that lends believability, even though it might be total hoax and complete check. When you say things in a simple way, even if it's the truth, that's what Shlomo HaMelech says. Chochmas HaMiskin bezuya. The wisdom of a miskin, of a wretched, is looked down upon. It's like it's waved off. Why? Because look who says it. Look what kind of words it uses. It might be 100% true, but But if you call, use this kind of word, whatever it is, the news, whatever it is, our correspondent, whatever it is,
Oral statement.
that's right, whatever it is, it's like then they're the vicious animals that they capture many of the people in our nation. In order to now, the thing is that the thing that lends vitality, gives chayus to this vicious animals, what's called metzach hanochos. When the people that live long and generation do not add kedusha and light every single day. The days fall off, the dot falls off, and from the falling of the das of these Zakanim, these old, long-living people, Metzach HaNochosh, gains its credence. Look, you have all these old people, the religious people, whatever it is. Nevertheless, to go to a barbecue every once in a while, what happened? So you watch a movie, not a movie, a sports game. Which means that it's not so bad. It's not so. What does it mean not so bad? It means time is not that precious. Time is not something which is looked at by HaKadosh Baruch Hu at every given moment. This is where Metzach HaNochosh gets. Ain't necessarily so. The Rebbe says that tzedakah helps to siphon out that which was captured by Metzach HaNochosh and brings it back to the Kedusha. הצדוקה, מה יהיה לזה? שהצדוקה מסכנים מעלים פגם נפילוס היומי והדס של הזקנים ערך היומי. The tzedakah has that, and the Rebbe brings a couple of proofs to that we learned. And then what happens is that Vazai Kshenichna Metzach HaNochosh, when finally, Metzach HaNochosh was deceived test, when the forehead of the snake is being defeated, being stamped down, when Nisgala Metzach HaRotzon, then the opposite, it's a seesaw. Metzach HaRotzon gets revealed. Then the vicious animals, the voice of the vicious animals, the opinions of vicious falls. And then the calling out of the Yom Tov, which is basically calling out, this world is run by pure will at every given moment. And you better beware, it's amplified. Now it's being heard. When that thing gets revealed, the country went and started a war that was done between 12 days, almost nothing happened, whatever it is. This is Galia Yura. Anybody that has a shtickle seichel understands this is not nature. This is not natural. It has nothing to do with nature. This is even this beginning of the story. We learn that you have to do ishtadlus these days because there's no shefa of the. But nevertheless, the whole thing is miraculous. This is galus haratzon. Even the prime minister of this country said, it says the biggest party in my government is siyata d'shmaya. Because it's a siyah means a faction. So they play the words. So my biggest siyah in my government is siyata d'shmaya. That's what it is. Even hinu. As gal yira. You have yira. Okay, in other words, you're on your toes. You can get chesed. Be trusted by that. Chesed. Now, once that dam is open, then there's not even necessary to do any kind of shtadlus. And foreigners will stand and will shepherd your flocks. And you will be called the priests of Hashem. All this happens by the tzedakah. Okay, so this is nimtza. It is therefore found that the benefit of tzedakah is immense. It's not just, it's not just showing you the world runs according to the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. Ratzon is favor everywhere. Yaakov Avinu wanted to create favor by Esav. So Omer, he says, and you should take my gift from my hand. For this I have seen your face, your countenance, like seeing the countenance of Elokim, and you should favor me. But the way he says Pnei Elokim, he said, didn't say Pnei Hashem, he said Pnei Elokim. Elokim is Midas Adin, is Yira. And then Rabbeinu gives a Givaldige Chiddush. That which is also given to the Akum, it's also tzedakah. The thing is, it was forced upon you. It's also called tzedakah. It's considered tzedakah. As Chazal said in Baba Basra, Siftes, v'nogsayich tzedakah. And those who rob you, that which they rob of you, is also considered for you as if you're given tzedakah. They took it against your will, nevertheless, v'nogsayich tzedakah. When we explained what is the reason that there is nakama at the end, we say because the klipas they captured, the kedusha, and the goyim are giving us trouble because we do not overcome the temptation. This long Kabbalistic explanation that we learned. The reason they take it from us forcibly, it works as tzedakah. Because ultimately it all comes back. And it says, this is what he says. If Yisrael is saying tzedakah mutar, if Am Yisrael, give tzedakah, so much the better. V'im lav, and if not, ba'im oivdei kechovim, come, idol worshippers, v'notlim bezra. They take it forcibly. V'afal pichen nechshav letzedakah. Nevertheless, it's considered tzedakah. That's why the mincha that Yaakov Avinu, the gift that Yaakov Avinu gave to Esav, is also considered tzedakah. Well, that's tzedakah, and by giving tzedakah, nasa rotzin, it brings about favor. And you would take my gift from me. Hainu tzedakah. B'fchinas magishay mincha b'tzedakah. There's a pasuk in Malachi that says those who give mincha tzedakah, magishay mincha b'tzedakah. They give mincha with tzedakah. What's the connection? It comes to show you here that Yaakov says, you take my mincha, you give my gift. This is considered tzedakah. Yaakov says, Al ken ra'isi panecha kirot pnei Elokim. This is why I've seen your countenance, like I've seen the countenance of Elokim. Anu kmo ra'es pnei Elokim, like seeing pnei Elokim. When do we find the concept of seeing the face, the countenance of Hashem? Shlosh regalim, right? Shlosh regalim. Shalosh pamim b'shana yireh kol zchocha pnei odin Hashem. 3 times a year, every male, but you will see the countenance of the Master Hashem. Which are the tools, which are the instruments through which is Gala Rotzen, the Rotzen, the fact that Kodesh Baruch Hu runs the world at will, is being revealed. Because Gala Rotzen, and the thing that causes the Rotzen to be revealed by the Yom Tov, it's tzedakah. The same way that I saw Pnei Elokim, I've affected that there is an influx of realization of Kodesh Baruch Hu running the world. This is the same thing that's been affected by you taking the tzedakah from my hand. That's what Yaakov Avinu told Esau, "V'tirtzeni, you'll favor me." Since that gift and tzedakah that he gave to Esau is mamish bechinas tzedakah, it works as the whole spiritual effect of tzedakah. Even those who rob you, the money taken from you is considered as if you have given tzedakah. It has the same potency, so it's the same effect. Nimtza. Since you are creating a rotzen above, a favor from above, those below will also, will favor you. And we actually went a little bit about this, over this, and it's after we have explained this through the tzedakah, you are raising the bechina of metzach harotzen, the forehead of rotzen, and it subdues, it beats down the bechina of metzach hanochos. Now the Rebbe is going to show that the whole episode between David and Goliath was also this, in the root of this whole thing, is that eternal war between Metzach HaRotzen and Metzach HaNachas. For those who are not, you don't remember the story? When Shaul HaMelech was a king of Israel, and Shmuel HaNavi passed away, Shaul was still king for 4 more months. He was before the stalkers of Shmuel HaNavi. There was a war, and Shaul HaMelech came out to fight the Plishtim, and it wasn't far from here. Emek Ha'elah is where it was. And the armies of the Plishtim was on one side, the army of Am Yisrael was on the other side, and every single day comes this giant, I don't know, 8 foot tall, whatever it is. It says Gova Shesh almost Vazeret. Shesh Amos Mazeret is almost 2.5 meters. 2.5 meters is almost 8 feet. No, almost. Yeah. 7.6, whatever. Big. Wearing a copper hat, a copper helmet, and a copper armor, body armor, and he had these things on his legs. He had also copper. Am Yisrael was scared from him, and he said, why do we all have to fight? You pick one person, let him fight me. Whoever wins, the other, everybody will. If I win, you become our slaves. If he wins, we become your slaves. And Am Yisrael was very, 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 very much scared of him. What is the argument there? So you find the guy. Okay, maybe there's somebody here who's also whatever. It's tough, whatever it is. The point is that the klipa of Goliath is the world is a natural place. I don't care if you fight karate or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. If you're bigger, you win the fight. Two people that have the same kind of martial art capability, the bigger one is going to win. Always. That's what they claim. It's Chochmas HaTeva. Go ahead. Bring some.
Is really much.
Yeah. But even there, it's a smaller man. You can win the battle if the other guy doesn't. But two people that are equally Kamagal, the bigger one will win. That's and spiritually what it does is that it tells people, this kind of underlying poisonous message. You don't count for anything. The klipa of Goliath basically tones like, come on. You're never going to succeed. You're never going to make it. And the klipa of Goliath is not only then, it's now to each and every person. And it comes, it tells a person, come on. Be realistic. Be realistic. Who are you kidding? Come on. He want to say, everything is natural. Come on. When push comes to shove, the stronger one wins. What are you telling me? This. It's Teva. Why? Because his livelihood was coming from the Metzach HaNochosh, the forehead, the azus of the Nochosh. So when the Tanakh, when the Bible describes the clothing, the instruments of war of Goliath, this is a mitzchas nechoshos al raglov, and there's a shin guards of nechoshes of copper on his legs, and there was a mitzchas. It is a mitzchas nechoshes. The word for shin guards is mitzchas mishom metzach. It's the forehead, and nechoshes is that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he made the copper snake, it says the Kodesh Baruch Hu said make a snake, and he made it out of copper. Why? Because nechoshes and nechoshes comes from the same root. Mitzcha nechoshes, in other words, his raglov. What is raglov? Yaakov Avinu said to Lavan Avinu, You know why you're successful? Hashem blessed you because of me. I was the instrument of you getting bracha. Lavan was a big mafioso. Lavan, Yaakov Avinu came over there. Nevertheless, who is the daughter? Who is the shepherd of Lavan? Rachel. Later on, we see that Lavan has sons. They say they're grumbling. Yaakov became very rich. He became very rich. He took all the money of my father, blah, 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 blah. So Rashi says, part of the bracha that Yaakov Avinu brought to Lavan was sons. Is it possible that Lavan has sons and his daughter, his beautiful daughter, that's taking is the shepherd of his sheep? Doesn't make any sense. But Yaakov Avinu says, "V'averecha Hashem l'ragli." He blessed you because of me. When it says l'ragli, ragli, my raglayim. So the regel is because of me. In other words, I am the tool that brought it about. Same way that the legs bring a person from one place to the other. So that is the tool of bringing you there, because that's the reason of bringing you there. The word of l'ragli is besibosi. I'm the cause of it. So that the legs do it physically, the schus does it, so ragli is also a mitzchas raglo, nechotes raglov. Raglov, he says, the thing that causes everything, metzach hanochos. Everything is chochmas hateva. Shota kol hatzibos b'chiyu v'teva says everything is because nature dictates it. Shobchinas metzach hanochos. That's the termination of the total tumah. Valken, that's why ken cheref malachos elokim chaim. That's why he cursed Shem Yirachem. Malachos elokim chaim. That everything runs according to divine will. Why? Because he wanted to show everybody, to impress everybody, to create the notion by everybody. Everything runs according to the natural causes of science, whatever is chas v'shalom. But as we know, he started up with the wrong guy. There was many years ago when people started coming to Ummah for Rosh Hashanah. We had 2,000-3,000 people around. It was 2,500. Whatever it is, was first few years. So one of the local goyim decided to open up a side business, a little side income. And a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them went and caught a guy, a Breslava, and tried to mug him. Now, by chance, they happened to fall upon a guy, grandson of Level Cheshi, that for years, there was his hobby. He was a black belt in karate. That's what I'm saying. It's just like I said, the guy that just picked up a guy, and says, okay, he made mashed potatoes out of him. From all the people that went there, all the, Shmuel Shapira and all those, whatever it is, Dafka, that's the one they picked out, black belt in karate. Goliath having picked up. Okay, you picked up on the wrong guy. Yeah, what's a... Yeah.
It's the right guy, so that they would not mess with the other
Bevadai. David the Melech. David was Ish Chayil. David the Melech was afraid of nothing except one thing. In Tehillim, he says, "You start up panecha, you hid your face. Oh, he's an evil. Then I get scared. Then I get freaked out." That's the only thing that freaked out David the Melech. Hashem hiding Hashem from his face from him. That scared him. Everything else, And he tells a story. He says, they had Maisa Kazuk Shaba Rivadov, a lioness and a bear came, and their children, and their cubs, bigger cubs. I know Chayasres. He says these are the vicious animals. Adorsim Vaturfim. Chochmei Teva Kanal. This is, they represented the Chochmei Teva. And he said they took a shepsela from the flock. And the word is se, right? And so you have ksiv ze, this, and you say it's se in sin hey. Why is that? Why is it says nasas demea edel when it actually means to say nasas semea edel? A baby lamb it took from there. Se, this is se, but it's written ze, this, and carried this from the flock. Why is that? What happened was when David HaMelech, he was a shepherd, and a lion and a bear came and took a lamb. And David HaMelech fought them and beat them. He killed them both. So what did he do? David HaMelech was Yerushalayim. He realized a person cannot beat a lion and a bear. Not because he was really, really good at jiu-jitsu and he bit the bear and the lion. That's not the way it happened. He realized this is a Maisa Eloki that comes to teach him something. So what did he do? He took the lamb that he saved and he shechted it, and he made a suda for the poor people. Give the flesh of the lamb to the poor people. And what did he do with the hide, with the skin of the lamb? He made a jacket. Why? To remind him it's Hashem. When he came to Shaul HaMelech, but you can't win against him. He's bringing forces of nature, whatever it is. Shaul HaMelech comes to tell him the story, and he tells me, a lion and a bear came to fight me, and I beat them both. And I realized it's not my power. This is Dover Eloki. And he says, Venosa Seminad, and he took a lamb from the Eder, but he held onto his jacket. So Venosa Ze, he took this jacket that I made. He took that lamb from the Eder. What? To remind me, it's all about, it's a Kodesh Baruch Hu runs the world. He made this jacket for himself, not so he have a nice jacket made out of, sheepskin. That wasn't the kavanah. The kavanah was to remind him all the time. It is all about Ratzon Hashem. That's why the Tanakh uses the v'nasa ze mina edom. The fact that he was a lamb, but the fact that David HaMelech was focused on the fact that it's Hashem who runs the world. Everything that happens the way that Hashem wants it to run. But there's a says now David HaMelech is saying something much deeper. It not only that it runs according to the way that Kodesh Baruch Hu wants it, but everything that happens because Kodesh Baruch Hu created from total void. From nothing, from yesh me'ayin. Nothing is before Kodesh Baruch Hu created yesh me'ayin. When it says "zeh" means an object, an existence. Meha'eder is the same letters as meha'eder, from a total lack, from total nothingness. Nasas zeh, Kodesh Baruch Hu brought about zeh, metzias, meha'eder, from total. Kodesh Baruch Hu, there's nothing natural about this world. That's what David HaMelech said. Shenosa v'silek zois meheder gomo. Shekofa b'zeh Hashem HaKol b'Ritzono that the Ari and the dove, the lion, and they represented this notion that that was heretical of the fact that God created everything from total nothingness. And he comes and no, everything is just chiyuv tevach chas v'shalom. It's just that it's just natural causes. So somehow it exploded, and somehow it is this, and somehow it is this, and somehow it is just that, and somehow it's just that, and somehow it's just that, and somehow it's just that, and somehow that. And when you finally, put before them that even according to their science, it is totally impossible. They come with new theories. They're infinite worlds. This happens to be one of them that happens to work out just like that. Happens to be just like that. Hashem Yirachem. In other words, I was overcoming him, and I brought him down. And then it came up on me one more time again. As we said before, that once the Chocham Emes is Mekasher, the Retzonos of creation to the Shosh HaRatzon, met with him, against him. And starts up with the Chocham, the Kedusha himself. And he starts getting with him into all kinds of iyun dak min adak, and thinking maybe this, maybe that, or whatever it is. And it wants to put a suffix, a doubt, in Metzach HaRotzon Atzmoi Mamish, Hashem Yirachem. V'echzakti bezkonoi, and I held onto his beard, says David HaMelech. Hanu shevanti, I understood. The entire life force that it has is from Netzach HaNochos. That gets its higher from Ziknei Ador, Zoken, a beard. Zoken is Zekon HaChochmo. Those, the long-living people in generation that are not proper. Shechzakti bezkoneh, says the Rebbe, I grabbed on to the Zoken. Grabbed, he beat Goliath, with the dove and the Ari and the lion, in the very source, the Ziknei Ador. And I beat him and I killed him. I was able to defeat and completely the Chochmei Teva, the Chais was the vicious animals. I held onto the very source. I took out the Pgam from Ziknei Ador, and automatically Metzach Nochos fell. And Valken, since I did it over there, Kodesh Baruch Hu showed me that that's the way things run. I have no problem with this guy. This Plishti, that big dude is going around with with his armor and everything, he's going to be like one of them. He's going to be chopped liver by the end of the day. Goliath is like the lion and the bear. His shurish is natural. That was his entire Indian. It's called Koicha Mimetzach HaNochos. The shin guard on his legs. What he says, the reasons for everything is mitzchas hanochos, the mitzach hanochos. He's just like them. This says afterwards. David HaMelech took a stone, and shot it, with a sling. What happened to that stone? That stone it was a flat stone. Goliath was wearing a copper helmet, and the stone went into the forehead, through the helmet, and went into his brain, through the metzach, through his forehead. Yeah, dafka in the metzach hanochos. Well, somebody actually, they made um, an experiment where they took a ping pong ball, they use a table ping pong or whatever it is, and they shot it with a vacuum gun, whatever it is. They shot it in speed of up to like 700 miles per hour. It's nothing, it's a ping pong ball. And it made holes for absolutely everything because of the speed of the force of the speed, it made holes for everything. So if the stone, like, currently they go to chop, with the blocks, how can a soft hand, break bricks, whatever it is. And the speed of it, it's stone. But it's not from the natural causes. The Evan is Evan Shleimer Etzainai. It's called Evan Shleimer. Atidba Evan Mitzchoi. The Evan, the Rotzon, went into the Metzach HaNochosh. Metzach HaNochosh, that David and Melech defeated Goliath with the stone. What does the stone alludes to? B'chinas Evan Shleimer Etzainai. Evan Shleimer. The Rotzen is B'chinas Evan, B'chinas Rotzen. And this is B'chinas Yishai as David Belechto L'Sham. This is what Yishai, the father of David, warned his son when he went to the war. Kachna lachecha efas akali azos, give him, this bread, whatever they take with them. Basar lechem azel v'chuve v'sachecha tifkod l'shalom, and bring, the ascensions of peace to your brothers. Ves arubasam tikoch. Al pipshat arubasam. He says there is every soldier from Israel that is married goes to Milchemes Kodesh. He gives a get al t'nai to his wife. Why? If something happens and he disappears and he's married, his wife cannot remarry. Why? She's an aguna, right? So what they do is they give a get conditional. If I don't come back, whatever it is, then you are divorced from now. The same thing was with Bathsheba. When Uriah Hittite ultimately did not come back, so she was divorced from before he went to battle to begin with. This arubasam tikoch. Why doesn't the word arubasam, that get the divorce? Bring your brothers the conditional divorce papers, so that the women, their wives, will not become agunas chas v'sholem. But the words that he used for this conditional divorce papers is arubasam. Why dafka this word? Why arubasam? Was that pchinas oirev? Arubasam pchinas oirev is erev, oirev, arubasam. Pchinas tzedakah, because the main avodas, the ikar avodas tzedakah, the main work of tzedakah, b'pchinas oirev, is when you really, really don't feel like it. I've ordered the crows to sustain him. She's taking out the very life force of Metzach HaNochosh. V'da, Rabbeinu says, and this we will finish for this week. That's the main value of tzedakah. Tzedakah is always tzedakah. But when you don't want to give and you give, that has the greatest value. Because why don't people want to give? People don't want to give. The world will be with me. When I'll give you, whatever I give you, I don't have. that mode of thinking is the chateva. You take from this, you take from this. This one won't happen. The thinking, if you give tzedakah, you end up getting more, is only you believe there's no teva. Because Baruch Hu runs the world. So by breaking the kamtzanos, by breaking the stinginess, that's the main avodah of tzedakah. With this, you're breaking the state of mind that everything is teva, everything is nature. Hey, I can give it to you. How will I have? The dasha filu shemachnim seisim is this chachmei hateva mashpilim meisom, and you bring him down. Afal pichem, and it's galus harotzon chazak v'tochiv. If that expression of will is not strong and resolute, Danish is suffolk barotzon, it's still in doubt. Even though you manage to step down, since the will is not that strong, still there's an ability of metzach hanochosh, that it will roar back to life again, the way it was before. For this you need tzedakah again. The tzedakah helps always. Talmid neged metzach hanochos. Tzedakah helps against metzach hanochos always. It doesn't matter. That's why he says about the tzedakah, v'noson titein. And he says, what is v'noson titein? He says even 100 times. Which means that tzedakah works. It's beneficial over and over and over again. One of the reasons, why do people get discouraged in everything? Avodas Hashem, business, whatever it is. I tried, and it didn't work. And I tried, and whenever I try to do it happens all over again. So if a person is given tzedakah, and then he sees the metzach hanochos comes over again, says, well, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe takas chochmas hateva. Maybe there's not on titan. 100 times over and over and over. It's something that we have to deal with at all time. In the beginning of the journey, it's bechlal, to believe, Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's Torah, whatever it is that we need to do. But over time, this is not the issue anymore. The issue becomes holding on. Because whenever it is that the person is affecting Yeshua and is affecting the deliverance, there comes another problem. And you say, come on, man. There's a limit to everything, there should be a certain point in time I win the game, I had a home run, bottom of the ninth, whatever it is, a home run, I win the game, finished. We go home. There's no such thing. Say thank you for the over and start fighting the next battle. Because the whole thing is, as long as you live, you're injecting a lakus into this world. They said in our It's Hashem tomorrow night is Rosh Chodesh Av. And it says that Kol HaMis'abel al Yerushalayim, anybody who mourns Yerushalayim, Zoiche v'roya b'simchasa. He sees in the Simcha of Yerushalayim. Supposedly the language is not precise. He says, Kol HaMis'abel Yerushalayim, anybody who wants Yerushalayim, Yizke v'yer b'simchasa. You will see the happiness of Yerushalayim, the region of Yerushalayim. But then it says Zoiche, he's already Zoiche now, and he's seeing this. Zoiche v'roya, he's seeing. What kind of sense does it make? I'm lamenting, and I'm already seeing the simcha. How does it work? One of the answers, it's a very famous question, but one of the answers about it is Tsar and Busha, shame and sorrow, denote connection. You're not embarrassed that you can fly like a bird, because you have no shaykhs with flying. You're not a bird. But if something that is shaykh to you, that you should be able to do, and you don't do it, that brings about busha. The question is, what is the person mitzvah for? What is the person sorrowed by? That his baseball team lost the game. That shows a person who he is. The thing that makes you sorry show you what you're about. Anybody who is zoiche to be to more for Yerushalayim, in that act alone is zoiche because it shows you who you really are. It shows you what you are about. That in itself is a gewaldige zechia. So what do? I'm not really mourning for Yerushalayim, to be honest. Don't tell anybody I said it, okay? Don't reveal it to anyone. Like a little bit. So what do I bring to the table? What I bring to the table is the fact that I want to feel the mourning for Yerushalayim. That's what I bring to the table. I was able to be awake on Chatzos every night. Every night. Believe me, Tisha B'Av, I would wash the floor with my tears, no problem. But being that I don't do that, man yaseh. So come Tisha B'Av, and I have this heart of stone. But the fact that I want to be Misabah Yerushalayim, I have shaykhs with the Evel. Once you have the Evel, you have shaykhs to be in Yerushalayim. Hashem Zon, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see B'ezrat Hashem. B'binyan, Yerushalayim, B'yis Mashiach, B'inyan, B'yis HaMikdash, B'rav Yameinu Amen. And have a good Shabbos. And B'ezrat Hashem, only simchas and Yeshuas v'nechamas. There we go.